Hi everyone, my name is Naresh. Today I will be going to demo my project that I made. So I built a teeny database as a service platform on a Raspberry Pi. From this dashboard, I can create a Postgres database, get a connection string, connect to it from my machine, and even run SQL from the browser. So the front end is in Next.js app deployed on Vercel. The backend is Spring Boot API running on my Raspberry Pi. When I create a database, the API starts a Docker container on the Pi, stores the metadata, assign a port, and give it a connection details. So this is not meant to replace any existing neon base or like the Supabase. I build it to understand how database as a service system works internally. I have named this project as PiBase. So let's take a demo how it works. So let me log in because I already have already created account. So if you are new, you can sign up first. So let's log in. So as of now, I only have option to create PostgreSQL database. MySQL support will add later because as of now, I have only tested PostgreSQL fully. Let's create the PostgreSQL. So behind the scene, the Spring Boot port API is creating metadata, allocating port, generating credentials, starting Docker container, which is already running now, and waiting until it is healthy, then it has already written the connection string. If you see here we have two ways to connect to our database. First will be the SNI based, and the other is directly port based. And if you see carefully in SNI, we have a we are using only 5432 port, which is nothing, which will be a common port across all the SNI based routing. And in the direct port based routing, every database will get their own port number on the Pi. Now let's check on our Pi how it's if the Docker container is running. We can first SSH into Pi. If you see it is running just up about a minute. We have already created a PostgreSQL. For a better look, we can look on a port in our UI. If you see it's running on my Pi only. If you see, so this is the database name, ID database ID that is 37ps2 same here, which is created, which is nothing but this. We are creating a new container for each database. So let's connect to that database. Okay, now we are connected to our database. Uh, let's connect through our port also, port based routing, so that we'll understand if that is also working. Okay, we are connected to the same database. Okay, so now let's run some few simple queries. Okay, the table has been created, demo user. Now let's insert some one data, a simple data. Okay, it has inserted. Now let's check if it has the data. Okay, we got the two rows. Now let's check in this also because it's connected to the same database. Okay, so the same database, if you see, two ways to connect to database. One is SNI based, the other is per port, like port based routing. So both are working. Now let's check in our playground. We have another way to connect to our database, that is through playground SQL. If you see here, we already have that data the demo user table been created. Now let's query that again here. If it has that same two rows, yeah, it has that same two rows. So if you see, we have connected through SNI based routing as well as port based routing, and currently everything is running on the PiBase. So you can also try this. You can log in, but many times I don't keep my Pi on 24 hours. So usually if you when you are logging, if you see it's under maintenance, just you can you can say that Pi is not been connected to internet because it is shut down. So mostly I will keep it on for a few days, but later I will keep it off. So you saw how we can connect to our database through SNI based routing as well as TCP based routing. You can check out this blog on my website and you can understand better how I made these choices and how I implemented this solution. Uh, and if you want to look into the Cloudflare dashboard, how it routes, how this Cloudflare worker works is like whenever an user comes to this website, the Cloudflare worker, all the request goes through Cloudflare worker. If the request endpoint starts with slash API, it directly goes to Pi backend, which is nothing but our Spring Boot application uh, running on our Pi. And if it is not starting with slash API endpoint, then it will directly go to our Vercel frontend. And talking about talking about our this TCP SNI based routing and port based routing, if you see in our DNS record, whenever there is a wildcard entry for SNI based routing, because uh, we'll look into the HAProxy mapping. What is SNI? What this SNI is mapped to which port? So both are, if you see this wildcard entry as well as this TCP entry, both are a gray cloud DNS only proxy, which will help us to route the TCP traffic, non TCP traffic to our Raspberry Pi. Uh, and you can also check out in my blog how why I choose Oracle VPS instead of directly exposing my Raspberry Pi ports, and how I what was the need of HAProxy. It is a good learning experience that I implemented here. I will show you each architecture. This is the final phase of the architecture. Here you will see all the from high level, and if you want to go deep into how Cloudflare worker routes, this is the blog where you can find how it how how the request origins from this domain and how it gets routed to backend and frontend. And in our front end Pi is not involved, and this CGNAT why port forwarding failed in our case, how we managed, what solution we implemented, then this SQL over HTTP how we implemented, how we are creating a pool for every request for the subsequent request, so it will be more faster. You can check out all this blog. You can check out all the sub blogs, how Cloudflare Edge Worker, Edge Layer, CGNAT and WireGuard Relay, HAProxy SNI routing, the playground SQL over HTTP, database wire protocol versus HTTP, what I borrowed from Neon or Planet Scale, other database architecture. Thanks for watching. All the links are in the description.